Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank the committee, the subcommittee, for allowing me to participate in today's hearing. Let me just start by saying, look, I support the military housing privatization initiative. I support things like enhanced use lease on military installations. I support public-private partnerships. In Maryland, we've done a lot of good things, from the Port of Baltimore to the Purple Line to travel plazas on interstate roads. But I support them only when we can ensure that we deliver quality, safety, reliable, value products and services to the public, what the public demands and what they deserve. And in this case, when we talk about privatizing military housing, the public is that very cherished public, our military families. And here we fell short. And my concern is this. I get that circumstances may have changed over the decade or so when we started the program to where we are today. I hear about the drawdown. I hear about the reductions in the BAH rates and how that put pressure on the ability to deliver quality. But what concerns me is that it took the courage of military spouses to come to Congress. The Pentagon didn't come to Congress and say, we have a problem. You didn't come to Congress and say, we have a problem. The framework, the model, the formulas that we based these agreements on years ago doesn't work because of a changed environment. Instead, military families got squeezed, and it was military spouses who stepped up. And that's a shame on you. It's a shame on the Pentagon, and we've got to fix it. Mr. Piserne, I got that right? Piserne? Close enough? Yeah. In February of 2019, earlier this year, at a SASC hearing, you stated we hired a world-renowned specialist at no cost to the government to renew our mold and mildew procedures so that here, too, we are living up to the gold standard. Yet today you're now saying it's, quote, it's going to take some time to get back to the gold standard of communication and service that residents enjoyed in the early years of our MHPI partnerships. Why have you, this is the question, why have you not been able to return to the gold standard that you promised to Congress and, more importantly, to our service members? Why has your position changed?
Mr. Congressman, our position has not changed. We endeavor to return to the gold standard. As I mentioned in my testimony, the gold standard really will be when a deployed soldier is able to call back, which is one of the tenets that we founded our business on. We'll call back from forward deployment and talk to his family or her family about what's happening in their lives and not deal with home owner or home issues. We are getting closer and closer back to that standard. We're not there yet.
Let me ask you this question.
I also don't want to accept the fact that we got there because it's an ever-growing.
And let me ask this question. At Fort Meade, Maryland, and you had mentioned in your testimony today that town halls and greater communications with service members is a big part of it and their families. It's my understanding that at least one service member has been denied access to those town halls or those communications. Are you familiar with that?
Congressman, I am not familiar with that.
Okay, I would ask you please to familiarize yourself with that so that when we say that service members are in both formal and informal communications with you, that means all service members. Mr. Chairman, I'd ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter that I've sent today to the installation commander at Fort Meade asking the garrison commander, Colonel Sprague, to really step up his oversight at Fort Meade because I really believe that you guys are not even making forward progress as you had committed earlier this year. Without objection, Mr. Chairman, can we enter this into the record?
Yeah, without objection, is my turn. There being no objection.
Thank you.
So ordered.
Another question. Several of the service members that are stationed at Fort Meade have conveyed to me that they've experienced direct retaliation from your company in response to their attempts to resolve maintenance issues with their homes. These behaviors include obscene gestures, drive-by harassment, denying access to the resident response group, which I just mentioned, and a refusal to address maintenance issues until a service member receives a PCS. First of all, are you aware of that? If so, whether you are or not, do you condone this behavior? And finally, what actions are you going to take to ensure that harassment immediately ceases?
So, Congressman, we absolutely take any form of retaliation, retribution, or harassment seriously and do not condone that behavior. I am not aware of any specific cases where that has taken place. I will look into it immediately, and I will report back to you once we have our findings.
Well, I appreciate that because, I mean, these are serious allegations. And look, when military families are stepping up and just protecting their own rights, they certainly do not warrant retaliatory measures. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.